VW Caddy, no, let's try that again. I've said that way too many times on the channel. VW Golf, it is NREG. She's the 94, 95 spec. We need to paint some wings, do a little bit of welding. The sun is booming. Let's get into it. So, guys and girls, we have got an N-spec, NREG, VW Golf, Mark III flavour, variant, Mark III Golf. We need to paint the wings. I've had it sat around for about 3 weeks. Customers text me once, it's his mum's motor. She's wondering how it's getting on. It's Wednesday today and I said it'd be back Friday. So we are up against it. But you know, a deadline gets things done. So we're gonna get the wings off. He's already fitted them. He's happy with how they're fitted. We haven't got to waste any time on that. We need to get the bumper off, wings off, get them inside, etch primer, a bit of colour on them. It's flash red. Flash red from 1994. I believe it's the original paint. So the sun has flashed it off many times. It's seen many sunrises, many sunsets. It's faded a bit. I'm not sure what we're going to do because we're only painting the wings, no blend outs. Let me have a quick walk around with you and show you what we're up against. Super quick walk around. And for original NREG 94 plate, it's actually good condition. There is a tiny little dent in the quarter there, but this side, if you squint, she's mint. And it is good, the paint's good, it hasn't peeled off. Normally on the older motors you get the lacquer peeling off. On this side, we have got some corrosion. Well, some corrosion, it's pretty bad. We're not attacking that today. He did say maybe at a later date we can do it, but for today, we're literally going to paint the wings and we're going to keep it low budget. He doesn't want to spend loads of money, or his mum doesn't. Especially with a red motor with old paint, ideally we need to blend the paint up the doors and blend the paint up the bonnet. But if we're going to blend the paint into the bonnet and into the doors, a job that's 500 quid for a little patch of welding and paint the 2 front wings, it's going to double the price. So we're just going to paint the wings. Hopefully the colour's okay. I doubt it, to be honest, but we're going to find out. Let's get the wings off and see what's involved. It has also only got 60,000 miles on the clock. I'm not the biggest fan of older vehicles, but this ain't too bad. Hasn't got the AC button, unfortunately. She's the poverty spec, but it's nice nevertheless. What I can see with the wings, we've just got loads of 10mm. Oh, just quickly, I have got my chicken drumstick legs out, and the sun is shining, it's booming hot. And over the years, I have heard every slogan saying there is, more meat on the butcher's pencil. What's those 2 bits of cotton hanging from your legs? I've heard it all. If you've got a new one, drop it in the comments. I know they're footballers' legs, but don't be jealous. I can see a load of 10mm bolts to get the front wings off. I've never worked on a Mark III Golf, I don't believe. But when he dropped it off, he did say the first bolt's rounded off. No, he didn't say that. But he did point me and said there were some bolts under here. You are absolutely joking me. The first bolt, the chances of that, is that a 10? That's an 11mm. These are 10mm bolts. Let me get some bolts out and the correct socket. We might be able to progress with the day. More meat on a butcher's pencil. Got the grill out. We got 7 or 6 or 8 bolts, and I believe, oh yes, front bumper just slides forward. Not much length on the cables. So far, I'm impressed with the Mark III Golf. Nice and easy. Now we need to put this somewhere where it don't get run over. Wings, what is involved in getting the wings off? Not a lot. A few more 10mm. We've got the Impact Milwaukee. Big shout out to my friend Maltese Mafia. It has got some little light covers on. She's top spec. Forget poverty spec. Let me get some bolts out. Well, the wings come off nice and easy. Watch this, we're going to do this real time. Obviously I've got the benefit of an impact ratchet. Oh, roundy, oh roundy, roundy. Yeah, I am pretty impressed. Oh, roundy again. I am impressed with the build quality and the simplicity of the Mark III Golf. How quick was that? We like that. We got the wings off. I rubbed them down. I rubbed them down with 320 on a sander, DA, soft pad, and we tickled off the black so-called primer. Busted straight through it. You normally do with aftermarket panels. They say they come primed. Yeah, what with? Like a Rizzler's worth of primer. So we DA'd that off, and then I etch primed it. Etch primed it, let that flash right off in the sun. You can paint straight over it, but I wanted a better finish. So I tickled them off. Tickled off the etch primer, some 800 grit, by my hand. Lovely, smooth, soft, shiny, ready to paint. I am using my paint booth today. I've used it a few times lately. It works really well. The only beef I have got with my spray booth is I am hooked in to a compressor next door. The compressor is a large compressor, but just because it's a large compressor doesn't mean it's got the CFMs to flow good air. And I've got an airline hooked from next door to here, which loops around my condenser, and then it loops for another airline. So you'll paint 2 passes, it'll come out lovely, and then the pressure drops off, and then you don't get the finish you want. But it's only 2 wings. So we're gonna make it happen. I could possibly ask my buddy to use his booth, but he's always busy. He's not very good at time. I was down there earlier and I said, can I quickly use your booth? He said, yeah, I'm gonna get these bumpers in primer. In half hour, I'm gonna bake them and then you can go in there. I said, half an hour to rub down 2 bumpers, do all the stone chips and then prime them. He said, yeah. I said, so you're not priming them till tonight? He said, yeah, whatever, mate. He's not very good at timing, bless him. So anyway, no more chit chat. I need to empty the world out of my spray booth, get the caddy out, get the bumpers hanging, and let's get into it. I am in the booth. Audio might be a little bit echoey. Can't do anything about that. The floor is soaking wet, you might see. I don't have an end fed or a ground fed spray booth. She's homemade. Laid the blocks, put the roof in, put the lights up, put the fan in. She's homemade. So I wet the floor. I do wet the walls a little bit too with a hose pipe. Keeps dust to a minimal. I've produced some really, really clean paintwork in here. I will address my my compressor very soon, literally very soon. I might even make a video on the other channel about it because I've got a large container but the motor's broke because I managed to make my own compressor. I put 2 compressors onto 1 tank with 2 belts and it was twin turbo, yeah, big boost. But that burnt the motor out because I was running 2 compressors on 1 motor. We'll fix that another day. Anyway, back to the paint, getting a bit sidetracked there. You might think, why have you got your wings hanging up? Well, when I do paintwork, I've obviously got a bumper stand or a panel stand, but on panel stands and bumper stands, there's layers and layers of paint, there's layers of dust, so you put a panel on it, paint it, poof, blow dust everywhere. And I want to get to the back of these wings, because when I paint front wings, I always put paint on the back. That way they don't rust from the inside out. So we've got no dust and we've got easy access to the back. I've already painted them silver. I've put a coat of silver on them. And why have I done that? Well, a final colour is determined by the coat, by the colour of the ground coat. So let's say these wings were black. I painted them red. I painted this wing white, and I also painted it red. You would get these two wings out in the sunlight, and the one with a black ground coat would look darker than this one. And that paint being nearly 30 years old, the red has got lighter, a bit like an old Corsa or an old Vauxhall Nova. Bright cherry red, it's now almost white, it's faded that much. And because it's base and lacquer, polishing it will do absolutely nothing because the red has faded under the lacquer, so I can't do anything. So I want this red, which is potent in my spray gun, to be as light as possible to try and blend in with the car that's 30 years old. We're going edge to edge with red, faded red. This video might not end how I want it to. I like paintwork to look mint. But the wings might look a different colour. I've told him this, the customer that is. Anyway, enough chit chat. I've got a new tune to introduce to the channel. A friend of mine makes music, audio. He's made me a 3-minute beat. It's not copyrighted, it's mine. I paid him, straight cash. But if I upload it to YouTube and they say it's copyright, not only will I want my money back off my pal, I'll be very disappointed. And hopefully, if I can line the drop up well, it should go to plan. Let's roll the time lapse. Following morning, paint has gone dry. I was just about to say it's not sunny today, but it's just poked its head out. Oh, let's have a butcher's. Workshop is a mess. I've had to empty everything out the spray booth out here. No copyright today, sorry. I have been in and swept the floor. We get puddles here, there and everywhere after soaking the floor, so we've swept it about. We have had to bring some stuff back in. And they are, well, paint is dried. Because I put 4 layers, maybe 5 layers of base coat on, the shine has just pulled off. As the base coat dries under the lacquer overnight, sometimes it pulls the shine out of the wings or out of the panel, but I'll lightly touch that with a polisher and it will look perfect. Happy with the finish. I do have, because I show my flaws, this isn't a perfect channel. Oh, can we see it? There it is. There is the slightest sag on the lacquer, but I'll just blade that off, polish it, you'll never see it. Remember, squint, she's mint. Both of them are happy, both of them are shiny. We have got one bit of dirt. Considering it's a homemade spray booth, all my homemade filters, homemade water catching systems, everything works nicely. Yeah, very good. I did put some silver and I did put the smallest amount of red on the back, and then we lacquered them. Wheel arches rust from the inside out. And if you don't paint the inside of your wing, they're going to rust from the inside out and last no time at all. So we've painted the insides as well to keep rust at bay. Little bit more red on this one. Shiny on the inside, shiny on the outside. Need to get the caddy out of the way. Get all the stuff that's on the floor, making it look like a mess, back in here. Let's get the wings on. The moment a lot of you guys have been waiting for. Let's try one of the new wings on. And I did mention earlier in the video, this is a base and clear. So it's basically, the lacquer's on the outside. If the red underneath the lacquer has faded, I can't do anything about it. Because you obviously can't polish the red underneath to bring the redness back. But I can try and just do a little bit. How much noise out there? It's always as soon as I get the camera out. Yeah. I can see the bonnet is more orange than the doors. You are joking me. Now we got like aircraft. More noise, but it is what it is. Let me get the wing, because we're going to put this side on. The passenger side has got a little rusty hole underneath. So we'll put this side on. Oh. Oh, I've made a mistake. The colour might not be as bad as I thought. Flash red isn't as bright as tornado red on my caddy. It's a bit of a washed out colour. It's a bit of a washed out red, actually. Flash red. I prefer tornado. Stronger. Little bit of tape down there so we don't chip the door or the wing, fitting it back on. He says that, but let's find out. The sides, the wing did come off nicely without taking the side skirt off, but this bit was a bit of a pop. No one wants to scratch a fresh panel, so you always take your time. It's nice to have a pair of helping hands, but I work alone. Lone Ranger. The colour might not be too bad, actually. Ooh, we might get lucky. First of all, let's peel this off. We can have a better look. It ain't that bad at the moment. Yeah, it doesn't look too bad through the camera either. Obviously, when this black piece is on, it will look even better. I might actually get Carl, this is Mum's car, my friend, might actually get him to bring those bits in so we can pop them in tomorrow and see how they look. That colour is not bad. This is 1 day old paint, that is 30-year-old paint. What about the bonnet? We'll wait for the bonnet. I'm going to get a few bolts in this and we'll have a better look. That's not as bad as I was thinking. I was expecting this to look like pink and that bright red. It's almost the other way. It's almost as if the door might still be a little bit brighter. But it's not as bad as I thought. I'm happy with that. I believe. Don't know what you guys are thinking sat at home. That's a mile out, mate. Colour's a mile out. Let me spend a bit of time bolting this wing on, and we'll pop the side repeater in. We'll have a better look. Oh yeah. Car's turned round, we've got it on the ramp, and we haven't fitted this wing because the rusty hole is just down here at the bottom, and it's a little bit bigger than I thought, but it's tiny. Remember, this is a P-Reg 94, so that makes it 30 years old. And I am absolutely blown away by the condition of it. If ever you've been into your old Fords, within 5 years of owning an old Ford, the whole seals are rotten, everything's rotten. This is a 1994 Mark III Golf, and that is the only rust on the whole vehicle. And if you've heard people say, they don't make stuff like they used to, well, they don't. It's 100% true. Again, one last time, 30 years old, and we've got original suspension, original drive shafts, original CV boots, original brake hoses. I'm looking underneath. If I remember, I will get a shot of this. It's not rotten. We've got everything original. I can see it's had 2 new brake hoses on the rear. We've got what I believe might be an original exhaust. If you've ever had a new vehicle or a newer vehicle than this, everything is completely rusty. You definitely wouldn't be having the same wishbones or drop links 30 years later. Do you remember the scrappage scheme about 5, 7, 8 years ago? The government, they'd say on the news or whatever, you weigh in your old shed, which some people might have called this an old shed 7, 10 years ago. Weigh in your old motor with us, we'll give you a ridiculous amount of money towards a brand new car. So bless them, older Cyril and Patricia, they've weighed in their Mark III Golf, spent a load of their savings, they've then got a brand new motor. 5 years on, they've realised that brand new motor is costing them an absolute arm and a leg to keep on the road, but now they've got no chance of getting their old shed back because they all got squashed by the government, by the scrappage scheme. And I believe they knew what they were doing, not the old people, the bigger people. They knew what they were doing. They wanted these motors off the road because they're that good. They would outlive all these newer motors, and unfortunately the scrappage scheme, it did get rid of a massive amount of these vehicles off the road, which would have still gone on for another 20 years, I believe. Shame. If you've got a minute, after this video, don't click away from this video because it hurts the channel. After this video, have just one little YouTube search on scrappage scheme cars. There's an explorer who found loads of them on a runway. Yeah, blown away. 30 years old, and it's all still intact. They look like the original track rod ends. How is that possible? 30 years on. Brilliant. Anyway, chit chat of the day done. I'm going to weld this up. I'm going to grind it right back. You can't see it, so I might not chop it out flat. I might just lay a plate over the top, but I'm going to grind all of this rust back so I get shiny metal. I'm going to put some anti-rust solution on. I might chop it out. I might lay the plate over the top. We're going to weld it in. We'll zinc prime it, etch prime it, and when it's all open, I'm going to blow a load of anti-rust solution all in the gaps to try and make it last as long as possible. But I'm going to roll a time lapse on this. I need to get this done today because I said to the customer, getting tongue-tied, can't even bloody say that. They could have it back tomorrow. Today's Thursday, tomorrow's Friday. This video's tomorrow. The customer wants it tomorrow, so I need to finish this right now so then we can fit the wings on. Fitted one already. Polish the wings tonight. Clean the rest of the motor. There's a few scuffs I want to touch in and make it look as pretty as possible. So I better get busy. Let's get it. have got some stuff done. It's been a busy afternoon. I've been for dinner and now I'm back. You've probably seen by the time lapse, but let me run you through it. So we ground all the fluffy paint off, all the corrosion off, then I cut the jaggedy metal back to fresh metal. That should stop it for a bit longer. Then we got loads of anti-rust solution, Q-rust, painted it everywhere, inside as far as I could get, made it go as far as I could. Then I ended up having to make it in 3 plates. I put a plate on the inside, a little plate around the front, making them all out of cardboard templates, nice and easy, and then one over the top. I did just lay the metal over the top. I didn't cut it in smooth. There's a side skirt here. It doesn't really matter. After I'd made everything, got it all pretty, I did anti-rust, weld through prime, everything. Inside all the holes, the back of all the plates, welded it on. Every time I welded it on, I got some more weld through zinc primer on there. That was all nice. I was happy with it. The weld, it's okay. It weren't too bad. I am welding with a gas welder with no gas. Run out of gas, so I had to weld it, grind it, weld it again. Then I just run around it with a bit of seam sealer to make sure it was nice and sealed. Then I strategically left a little hole on the end here, and the reason for that is after I'd completely finished with all the welding and the metalwork, I got my cavity wax, anti-rusty stuff, got it in there, and I managed to blow cavity wax all down the inside, then a bit of seam sealer over the hole. Lastly, we got some stone chip. That's gone off nicely, and that brings us to now. It's not the prettiest welding job I've ever done, but something that's going to live under a side skirt and never be seen. It's good enough for the girls we date. I am just gonna, I need a new fitting on my airline, quick release one. I will get one. I'm just gonna puff a bit of red on it. I've still got some red. I'm gonna have the pressure down really low. We've got the mask on. That airline's annoying. I'm going to get a few more coats on this. We're going to get the wings on, and what I didn't know is the little pieces that go on the wings that line up with the trims, they're a full arch. She's got full arches. Is it GTI spec? Don't think it is. We've got full arches to put on. So I'm going to paint this red. I'm going to put the other wing on, and I'll show you a little bit of polishing. It's looking sweet. It's got to be done tonight because it's going out the door tomorrow. Wings back on, side skirts back on, and yeah, I'm happy. The wings don't fit too bad actually for an aftermarket variety. Now, there's a couple of bits of dirt in the lacquer. Couple of nibs, you might say. So I've got a tiny piece of 2000 grit, little bit of water, or any fluid you have to hand, and I am just nicking the heads off the little bits. If you've painted a car yourself in your garage and your lacquer looks a bit ropey, you can go over a whole car with this 2000 grit, then clean it, then polish the whole car, and believe it or not, even if your lacquer's a bit ropey, you would have then a factory showroom finish. It does take quite a while, so once you've painted a job or two, you want to get the best finish possible out of the gun. That way you haven't got to spend hours polishing it. And I did mention the start of today that the lacquer had ever so slightly pulled up. It had pulled into the, dried into the base coat. Pulled up, pinched up, call it what you want. It is shiny, but I'll show you what I mean in a minute, because I will just lightly polish over the whole wing. I've done the other side and it is mint. The flow in the paint, if you don't know a lot about paint, you're going to look at paint in the sunlight and go, cool, look how bad the orange peel is. Well, it isn't. Depends who painted it actually, But all paintwork, even your shiny Merc, your shiny Audi, your Ferrari, your Lambo, you're going to have what some people call orange peel in your lacquer. You're sat there saying, no, mine's flat, perfect. Go outside after this video, look down the panel, all like this, like you know what you're looking at, in the sunlight, and you'll see the slight texture in the paint. And that is called the flow of the paint. All paint is like that. And if you go to a car show and the paint is perfectly flat, that's been heavily worked and polished, i.e. the whole thing's been sanded down and then polished again. But if you ask me, I don't think completely flat paintwork looks good. You want a slight flow, you want a slight texture. Anyway, that's it. There's only a couple of nibs, not too many. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7. All right. The other one didn't have any. Quick wipe. I'm surprised the colour out the gun isn't as red as the colour on the vehicle on the sides, but it's virtually the same as the bonnet. The bonnet is even lighter than these, but it is what it is. We could have charged double the amount of money and we could have blended the paint down the sides. But this isn't a show car, this is an everyday car, so I believe it's pretty sweet. And you wait till I've put all the trims back on, you'll barely even notice it. That is 3M fast cut polish green top. I've put just a little bit over the nib marks. Just like that. And if we get down low, look at it in the light, you'll see whether you've polished your nib and flat marks enough. Well, I can't see them at all. So now what I'm going to do, I am going to polish the whole wing, and that's going to pull the shine up. I'll quickly time lapse it. I would skip to this is how it looks after, but I want you to see 100% of what's involved. So I'm going to quickly roll a quick time lapse. It's going to take me 10, 15 minutes, maybe 20, to polish this wing, and we'll see how it looks. I said I wanted to show you the whole process, then the camera decided to tell me it was low on memory. So we lost the end of the footage, and all I done was polish it. And then I did go over it with what I call the waffle head, because it looks a bit waffly, and then the ultra finer 3M, which is the blue. And the reason for that is the fast cut and the hard pad sometimes leaves little swirl marks, a bit hologrammy you might say, and then the ultra finer and the waffle pad takes all those out. Now I did spin over the whole wing, and I'll show you what I mean. This is before. You can see a slight haze in the paint. It is shiny, but there's a slight haze. Now if we have a look after, mint. There is a little bit of texture, a little bit of flow in the paint, but that is factory. In fact, it actually matches, well, it's better than up the door, to be honest. The door's a little bit dry. Might have had a repaint. Yeah, happy with that. Let's get the arch on. I believe I didn't take these off, and I'm only fitting these on because I don't need to fit these on. I could give this back to the customer because he took all this off, but this adds to the overall video, I believe. So I'm fitting them back on. I did see a couple of little scuffs in the front bumper as well, so while it's here, while I've got a bit of red, I'm going to touch it in for them as well. Well, it says that. It can't even get the bloody rivet in. Oh, mate. That one's smaller? Let's at least get one in so I can show you how it looks. Oh, come on. Yes. Now, back to noisy airline again. I'm getting one tomorrow, I promise. We had full meltdown then. That end is proper knackered. Anyway, let me stand back, let's have a look. And when you add black trims, it actually makes the paintwork look better. You can still see the colours out, but if I put my finger here, how good does the colour look now, eh? Obviously we haven't got a black strip running down it, so we can't do a lot about that. Last little thing I like to do, if we're painting wings and fitting side repeaters, the side repeater isn't very shiny. So, I don't know if we've seen it in the close-ups, but it's shiny now. Oh, that's tight. That's why I had so much trouble getting it out. Nearly broke it getting it out. Oh yeah, that is looking good. What I am going to do, I don't offer this for everyone, but Carl, he's a friend of mine. The car's for his mum. I am lightly, and I mean lightly, I'm not gonna cut it with the fast cut. I'm just gonna use the waffle head on the Milwaukee battery sander. I'm gonna lightly buff the bonnet, and I have already painted the edges of the doors, but I'm just gonna buzz down the sides, the bonnet with the polisher. I need to get 4 more pop rivets in this. There is a trim piece missing here, but I didn't take it off. I don't know what's there. Carl can do that. I'll get the front bumper on, and there's a couple of marks I want to show you, but that is looking a lot better. Bumper's all back on, and I still need to fit the grille and glue the side moulding on, as that was slightly hanging off. But as a little extra, I'm not going to charge them for this, we can see a little scuff. I should really clean it first. What we got here? We've got a little scuff. It's not too deep. So we've got transfer here, we've got black stuff. That is from a post or whatever they clipped up against. But we have got some light rash in here. So I'm going to get my 2000 grit, and not with spit this time, and I'm just lightly tickling it off. I have still got the same paint. I've got a little bit left over. Unless you're really good at judgment, that didn't sound right. Unless you're really good at judging how much paint you need, you're always going to have some left. So I am just literally, it might have come off with a polisher, but the rashes down the back bottom here, I believed needed something a bit heavier. Is that a black mark, or is that the plastic? That's the plastic. So this is very crude. We're tucked down in the corner. There's not very good lighting, so it's not the best, but we need to make do. And as you can see, that's just wiped off, but when it dries, it's going to come back. So we've got the mini polisher. You don't have to get a snap-on one. You can see it's just coming back now it's drying. That has polished up. That is polished up lovely, in fact. I need a little bit of tape. So I have got, let me check you can see. Yeah, we can see. I've got masking tape. I'm turning it inside out so the stick is on its out, on the outside. And I'm rolling it into a cone. And I've got my finger in it, like a witch's finger. Then I've got the paint, which is a little bit watered down, unfortunately. I say watered down, I mean thinners down. And I am going to touch in the black. Now I'm going to have to do it a couple of times. So unfortunately for this shot, it's not going to look that good because the paint is now a little bit see-through, which isn't, oh, it's not too bad. It's going to need a couple of touch-ins, but basically you can just touch this in. And yes, you can still see the black through it. That is because my paint is too thin. I'm trying to load it up, which I wouldn't normally do, but I'm trying to get the shot good. You get the idea. You can see straight through that, unfortunately. My touch-in on camera hasn't worked because my paint has got too much thinners. But with a touching the little marks, this mark's a bit bigger. I'll probably use a bigger brush. I'm gonna have to find some better red to thicken it up. Need to put the grill on, need to do the side moulding. I'll touch these in. Let's get it outside. It will be tomorrow. I promised the customer this back tomorrow, so I'm gonna work as late as I need to tonight to get it done. Let's see how it looks tomorrow. We are finished with the Golf. I do still need to do the little touch in, but we need to get some red paint. That is the last job on the list, but we need to get this shot before the heavens open. The colour is slightly out on the wing, but look, if you squint, she's mint. I'm happy with the colour, considering it's old paint versus new paint. It's blended in. I say it's blended, I haven't done any blending, but it's very close on the top and it ain't a million miles out on the side. It is good for an everyday user. I did get a little bit carried away with the polisher down the sides and on the bonnet. I finished earlier than I thought, so I just kept on polishing. I've cleaned the tyres and I've cleaned the wheels. The wheels were absolutely hanging, black marks everywhere. Clean those off, a little bit of gear around the tyres, same bit of gear around the trims. What a sweet motor that is. Really happy with how it's come out. I did do a few little extra bits. I like it to look good. It's the same round both sides. And with the polisher, there was a brown stain coming off that down the quarter. I did polish that out. Maybe we'll do the quarter another day. I do believe the little extra steps that you do to a vehicle or you do in any job add to the overall customer satisfaction. I'm not saying you have to do loads of free work, but when it comes to working for yourself, running your own business, let's say you're a builder, you're building a wall outside someone's house, you're obviously, I hope so, going to sweep up the area where you've worked, sweep a little bit further. Let's say you're a painter and decorator, you're painting the window frames on someone's house, you're obviously going to clean the windows. All those little extra touches really add to the overall job, customer satisfaction, job satisfaction, and that is the best way to get yourself out there, people to start talking about you, and it's the best form of advertising. People telling other people about your good work. Cyril and Patricia, they're going to go down to the local bingo hall or the local pub. They're going to say to their friends, oh, some young nice man fixed my car, and we went down there, he was in shorts, he had massive footballer's legs, and he'd done a really nice job. It's the little extras that you do on top of a job without charging, just to say thank you. Anyway, that's enough from the golf. I'm getting straight on with the caddy for the build series. Like, comment, subscribe, all the good stuff. I'll see you in the next one. I'm out.